Intellectual stew. Oh, we're cooking something true.
Marriage for him is like making mashed potatoes.
Intellectual stew. Real raw and relevant for you. With James Kirkling guiding through the deep, the light,
Let me ask you
the old, the new. Intellectual stew. Yeah, we're stirring up the view. Intellectual stew. Oh, we're cooking something true. Intellectual stew. Real raw and relevant for you. With James Kirkling guiding through the deep, the light, the old, the new. Intellectual stew. Yeah, we're stirring up the view. Intellectual stew.
I am tripping. Hold on. I'm tripping. I'm all discombobulated as far as getting all of my technical stuff out of the way. I need to hook up my Ethernet cord. If y'all can hear me, do me a favor, drop me a 1 in the chat. If you can hear me, drop me a 1 in the chat, and that'll help me know. Let me know that at least somebody's there, and we can get this party started in just a moment. It is open, as you can see above me. It is okay. What's up, Viola? Do me a favor, y'all. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Give me a hot second, and let me plug up this Ethernet cord. I'm gonna turn the music back on for a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, give me 1 hot second. I'll be right back. Hold on, I'm coming out.
Oh, we're cooking something true. Intellectual stew. Real raw and relevant for you. With James Kirkling guiding through the deep, the light, the old, the new. Intellectual stew. Yeah, we're stirring up the view. Intellectual stew. Oh, we're cooking something true. Intellectual stew. Real raw and relevant for you. With James Kirkling guiding through the deep, the light, the old, the new. Intellectual stew. Yeah, we're stirring up the view.
All right. Okay, I'm back. I'm here now. I'm here. I needed to what's up, Bradley? Forgot to hook up my Ethernet cord, and I would hope that the microphone, whether the internet won't stall and become intermittent and all that kind of stuff. So what's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew with yours truly, James Kirkland. And tonight ain't no sermon. It's not a lecture. It's open mic night. Real talk. And this show can be as long or as short as you all make it, because that's what my goal is. My goal is to turn this into a show, whereas it's a platform for you all to come and to share your convictions. You know, some of you all, like last week. Last week was, I would say, was a pretty good show. We had my good friend Ray Evans on, and we talked about therapy, and we talked about um, some of the protecting Black women and some of those types of things, and Black men, yada yada yada. And after the show was over with, I got to call, let him know that we're on. After the show was over with, uh, I got a phone call, and the phone call, listen, if I do the show for an hour and a half, right? When I get off of the show, I don't want to talk for another hour and a half. I already talked for an hour and a half. I mean, and I appreciate, the conversation. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that you were listening. I ain't gonna, and I don't mind. And I like talking sometimes, more so on here than on the phone. Really, I prefer texting over talking, but I know we live in a different type society. And hey, I get it. I get it. I get it. But if we've talked here, and it was a lecture for the most part, because it was a soliloquy, because for the most part, I did all the talking, you know what I'm saying? Or, y'all might talk a little bit, a few minutes in the comments, yada, yada, yada. But then after the show's over with, then you got a whole 30, 45-minute conversation for a brother, and I'm like, why couldn't you do the 30, 45-minute conversation during the show? Because that's my goal. My goal is to create community talk in this safe space. We got Bradley on now. A couple of weeks ago, Bradley had a topic that he wanted to talk about behind the mask. And we reached out, we talked, we connected, and we brought that show to life. And it was a pretty good show. It was we're not pretty good. It was a good show. So I don't mind talking. So tonight is open mic night. It's been some things in the news. What are you all seeing in the news? What are some things that have been pressing on your minds that you want to bring to open mic night? I got a little bit different setting tonight. I got my computer here to my left instead of right in front of me, because I don't plan on using many notes. I got a couple of backup notes, but I don't really want to use them. I want to hear what's on your mind. Now, of course, I don't want to do that yet, because if I start saying of course, then it's gonna start swaying the conversation, and then I'm gonna be the one that's influencing the conversation. I don't really mind doing that, but I'm trying to get out of that. Do y'all understand where I'm going with this? Help me know. Do y'all understand where I'm going with this? What I'm trying to do? I'm trying not to dominate the conversation. I'm trying to create a space where you all will feel comfortable coming in and sharing, like I said, your personal convictions, things that are on your mind, things that, things you might post on Facebook. Sometimes you post certain things on Facebook and you have a rationale behind it. Other people might look at you and think that you're crazy for posting it. And you know what's funny? Because when you post your post, they don't know the spirit behind it. They don't know the thought behind it. They don't know what the build up. That's what I'll say. They don't know the build up that made you post that post, but they come with their own proclivities. We bring our own trauma. We bring all of our experiences, right? And we bring all that spirit to the post. And when we bring that spirit to the post, sometimes it sounds offensive. Sometimes it sounds like a debate. And the thing that amazes me the most is that we find ourselves divided and debating opinions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can have this opinion, you can have this opinion. That's two separate opinions, but neither one affects the others. Because you know what? We don't have to go to bed together tonight. You know what I'm saying? We can cordially coexist. What you eat don't make me excrete. So we can have two separate opinions. We can agree to disagree, and we don't even have to argue or fight about it. My blood pressure doesn't have to be raised one iota because of what you believe. I might say something like, I don't care when I'm talking about when dealing with other people, dealing with somebody else's issues or whatnot. I might say, I don't care. That doesn't mean I don't care about them as people. That doesn't mean I don't care about them in a state of humanity. What that means is that what they're going through does not affect me. I don't live vicariously through other people. I am a product of my experiences. I'm a product of what I've been through. All of us, if we're really honest with ourselves, we are the effects of what we've been exposed to and what we've embraced. Everything else is an illusion, right? We can look on TV, we can see celebrities and relationships, we can see other people doing their things, we can look at lifestyles of the rich and famous, and that's not reality for us. Now, are they goals? If we set our minds to it, can we accomplish it? Absolutely. But so many of us never will, but we live vicariously. So many of us, Viola, we have this whole idea of what being in love is, right? And what love ought to look like. And, like love has a face, or like love has, a certain way, a certain character, and all it is an idea of what it is, right? And an idea is I do everything alone. I do everything alone. The goal is to get beyond ideas and to get into and to learn how to cast vision, right? Because vision, if you cast it right, then that's when you start marking milestones and you start, putting up accountability. What's up, Dennis? So I started putting accountability in place. And I'm just rambling right now, Dennis, because like I told him, I'm trying to let you all start the open mic night. I don't want to be the one who dominates the conversation. I want all of us. I want you all to talk, right? I want you all to talk. What was I just saying, Viola? Because I told you I'm not using notes. But yeah, so many of us we have ideas, but they're not vision, because see the difference between an idea and a vision is an idea. I can eat something greasy, lay down and dream and think and wake up and think I'm going to be rich in the morning. That's just an idea. But if it's a vision, that means taking work. That means putting in the sweat equity, right? That means doing the research, right? That means doing a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, and the threat assessments and the threats. It means going through all of these, opportunities and threats. That means we got to go through all of these different layers to make sure that what we're working on is going to work. That's a vision, because a vision has to be cast properly. Because if a vision is cast right, people see the vision and they're attracted to the vision, even in relationships. We can have an ideology, an idea of what love looks like, but until you get into that situation and start having to put in real work, and that's why so many people have exit plans so quick, because they don't want to put in the work. Y'all don't have to say it, man. I'm gonna be quiet. What we talking about, Dennis? I'm gonna be quiet because y'all gonna think y'all sit here and think I'm gonna talk for an hour and a half. Ain't gonna happen, or an hour, whatever we decided to be on tonight. Ain't gonna happen. So I want to know. In fact, let's do it like this. 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 I'm gonna invite at least one or two people on the stage. I prefer a male and a female. But I want to invite one or two people on the stage to come up and let's start getting this open mic night going like it's supposed to be going, right? Let's get this going like it's supposed to be going. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop the link in the chat to join the show. Now, I don't care if you have your bonnet on. Just try to have some decent lighting, and if you have an earpiece, put the earpiece in. Okay, so we can and turn your phone down. But to join the show, here is the link. All right. And if you all want to introduce a topic, if it's one person that wants to come on and introduce a topic, come on and introduce a topic. If y'all don't want to introduce a topic, I got one, but I need two people to come on and talk about it with me. Let me pin this comment right quick. Let me pin this comment. Have y'all seen the Michael Jackson movie yet? I haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen some of the stuff going on in the news. I've seen M.A.O. Duca. Well, no, Mike Vrabel, the coach of the New England Patriots, cheating on his wife. Now he has to step away from the team for a little while. Now I know the woman wasn't a staffer. I think she was a reporter or something like that. But he had to step away. Now Ime Udoka, when he was the coach of the Boston Celtics, he had an affair with a staffer. He ended up getting fired, lost his job. Your son took it. How was it? Was it good? Was it good? I want to ask a question. I want to know how the movie. Don't give away all the clues, but I'm somewhat acquainted with the story, right? Because this ain't the first Michael Jackson movie that they've had, and in my, of course, throughout history, we've made jokes about, we've demonized, we've done all kind of things to talk about Joe Jackson, right? And how, his parenting style and all that kind of stuff. But do y'all think we give Joe a bad rap? Do y'all think that we give Joe Jackson a bad rap? Joe is known, he managed the Jackson 5, pushed him into global success. Known for extremely strict discipline, and at times it was abusive. We've seen the movies, all that kind of stuff. Michael Jackson and his siblings, later on, they spoke about it, right? And I haven't seen the movie yet, but long term, it talks about, you can tell about that they had their strained family relationships and all those types of things. And Michael spoke openly about childhood trauma and his lost childhood. But because they were so successful, does the end justify the means? Dennis, we'll come back to that one in a little while. We'll come back to that one. But with Joe Jackson and his discipline methods, right? And they can be accused of being abusive. But what he did worked, because he pushed his children into global success. I mean, Michael was like the Pope. He could walk and people would pass out, and kids that couldn't even speak, sometimes their first words would be Michael Jackson. I mean, does the end, when you look at how he disciplined and raised his children, does the end justify the means? If somebody come on, talk to me. Somebody. Oh, let me put the phone number up too. I haven't turned the phone on. Let me turn the phone on. I would prefer that you all come on the camera, but I know I can't make you. And let me tell you something. And when you come up, that's whatever. It's your opinion. We can just have a conversation about it. I'm not on here to try to embarrass anybody. I'm not trying to go viral on nobody. I'm not trying to do any of those things. I'm just trying to create a space where we can come in and we can talk amicably. Let me see what Dennis said. Dennis said that man had 9 kids, all successful, 9 for 9. That's almost impossible. So you don't have any problem with his parent. So Dennis, you don't have any problem with his parenting skills or his parenting style? That's the question we have for those who are listening right now. We're asking the question: was Joe Jackson wrong for how he raised his children? Of course, if Joe Jackson lived in 2026, Joe would be locked up. We had Scan when I was little, but now I don't know, DHS, I don't know. I didn't really ever spank my children. My children weren't bad though, so I didn't really have to ever spank them. They were always, they never were really bad. They never were. I never got a lot of spanking. Now I wished I got some spankings. I got some punishments that I wish would have been spankings. At least spankings that would have probably been over in an hour 30. The spanking lasts 4-5 minutes. How long does spankings last? I don't know, but the spanking lasts 5-6 minutes. And then the pain thereafter for 20-25 minutes, whatever it is, and that's over. But when you're on punishment for days upon days upon days, and I'm starting to have flashbacks. Let me be careful. But real talk, question. And y'all talk back to me. Quit being so. If y'all gonna be here, at least talk to me. But real talk is, what can we say that Joe Jackson was abusive and that his methods didn't work? Well, but obviously they did work, didn't it, huh? Y'all talk to me. Talk to me. Let me know something. What do y'all think? Okay, let's see what Bradley said. Does success justify the means? He did the best he knew. Okay, let me just put it on the screen. Bradley said he did the best he knew how. All right, what's up, Al? We're talking about Joe Jackson and did the ends justify the mean with the abusive behavior that his children talked about later in life? Do those ends justify the means? Bradley said he did the best he knew how. He groomed them for performing on stage. Okay. And that's what they did all day, every day, pretty much. And if they didn't do it right, then he executed discipline upon them. And so do those ends justify the means? I know, for instance, I raised my children on baseball and on softball. And one of them, all of them did something. Trey played baseball. My middle daughter, she played softball. And my baby, she did cheerleading. Only one still doing what they were doing back then is the one that's doing cheerleading. She's a cheerleading coach. The other one still loves softball. She's in there watching it right now. Trey, I don't think he really had. Baseball is not even his favorite sport anymore. Now, I put the most pressure on him, I would say the most, but I didn't learn until later that he would tell, after he had his spinal injury, and I tried to be that dad to encourage him. We can come back. Y'all rah. We can come back. And he was like, Dad, I'm done. I'm in pain 200 days a year. I'm tired of rehabbing. I'm done. And when I saw that in his face, I said, cool. Because I could see it in his eyes. Right? Now, had we put thousands and thousands of dollars in baseball training, hours, trips, all those things, but those things got him through college. They got him a master's degree, and they're making him super successful right now because he's a real estate agent, because a lot of the principles that he learned on the baseball field, a lot of connections in that arena, those arenas are now what he's using to be successful now. Let me see what Al said. Okay. I like that. Al said, just because they all made money, it does not mean what he did was right. It's clear that his kids went through some things emotionally and mentally. Absolutely. And if y'all haven't shared this or liked it yet, please do that for me right quick. And that's the question, right? We're asking, Al, because you're right. I mean, just because they got money and just because all of that cost them something, right? It all came with a sacrifice. Whether it sacrificed, their childhood, it sacrificed relationships, it sacrificed how they interact in relationships, how they Michael's still playing with monkeys and wanted to play with little kids and all these things because there was a certain that I think he never grew up from. He was stuck in that state or that place. Because if you stop growing at 8 years old, then you might put up a mailbox or put up or your mind would already automatically put a stopgap up, and that's where you are. You got a grown man's body, but mentally you're somewhere else totally. Thank you, Viola. You're in a totally different space. So asking that question, does the end justify the means? Then that's a question that we have to ask one or the other. Now, Dennis, I know you're raising your daughters, and they're on a very, very, very good basketball team, but they gotta want it. And let me ask you this, Dennis, since you're there. Are you still there, Dennis? Are you still there? Let me ask you a question. If your daughter one day told you that was enough, or she was tired or didn't want to do it anymore, how would you react? How would you react after all that you've after all the investment that you've made? All of a sudden, she wakes up one day and she says, "You know what? Despite all the practice, despite all the training, despite all the trips, despite all those things, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore." How are you going to react if you're still there, Dennis? Because I had that happen with my middle daughter. My middle daughter, at one point, after all the years of travel ball, she said, "Listen, I know I'm not going to a major D1 school in softball. I can go farther with academics. So I'm going to focus on my books, and I'm not going to play travel ball this year." High five, intelligent decision. I'm proud of you. Let's move on. Now, I don't know if Trey would have came with that same conversation. I don't know how I would have handled it. But I don't think I was Joe. Well, I ain't going to say I was Joe Jackson. I ain't going to say I was Joe Jackson. I'm not going to say I was Joe Jackson. But I might have been Jay Jackson, just the J, not the J, the O, and the E. I might have been Jay Jackson a little bit. I might have been Jay Jackson because I can remember times when we were on the way to the field and I might have psyched him out because I'm trying to pump him up and get him hyped and all those things. And it really worked against one team specifically. But most times I think if he could have told me, Daddy, be quiet or Daddy, shut up, I think he would have. And at a certain point, his mom and I bought him those Beats by Dre's. And in order for him not to hear me, I specifically, as he got older, told him to put those Beats by Dre's on so he could get in his own zone. And because you know what, he achieved something in baseball that I'd never achieved. I never played the level of baseball. I never even played baseball. So what did I look like trying to tell him how to do what he was doing every day and doing pretty good? Now the hitting coach would tell me come to the session so I can look for certain innuendo and certain movements and make certain corrections if I saw certain things in his swing. But as far as seeing the curveball come out of the pitcher's hand and knowing when it bends so he can extend, I didn't know those things. So what did I look like? He's the one who had the talent. I tried to get him to people who were talented or more talented or who had. See, one thing about this whole parenting thing is when we're creative enough to allow our children to choose and then we cultivate that choice, then that's when we start to be successful. When we are creative enough to allow our children to choose. For instance, I want my child to play basketball, but he don't like basketball. He can't stand it. But I wake him up every day, force him to go to practice, force him to go to training, all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden he starts lacking in other areas. That's my dream. Let me see what what Al's saying. As a parent, I think you hurt the kid more if they don't want it as bad. You have to let them live their life and not try and live your life. We were just saying the same thing, Al, and I didn't even read your note. You are absolutely right. And you know what? And basketball, football, track, those aren't the only ones giving out scholarships. They got academic scholarships. They got band scholarships. They got, this is the thing. Listen to what I said, and I'm going to say it one more time. Be creative enough. If all you knew was basketball, but your child is, say, 6'1", right? And you think he can handle the rock a little bit. All you know is basketball. But he don't like basketball. But he loves baseball. And he projects real good for a shortstop, right? And you got it out in the yard, and y'all start playing catch. Because that's how it was with mine. We used to play in the front yard, and I would throw him the fastball, and he was rocking that fastball. And his first game, he hit a home run because he was used to me throwing him fastballs. I never played, but I knew how to throw to him. I knew how to encourage him. I remember one time he said, Daddy, teach me how to pitch. I put him in. I said, okay, hold on. I got a rubber baseball. I put an X on the wall. And I said, son, when you learn how to hit every spot on that X, I'm going to teach you how to pitch. Now, what did that sound like I was doing? I was teaching him how to throw and hit certain spots. So he would tear every point of the X up. Now, did he ever become a pitcher? No, because he wasn't that type. He didn't have his throwing mechanics wasn't like. He was more of a second baseman, sidearm type dude. We had to teach him how to throw it over the top as he got older. I'm talking baseball terms for those who know. But once I taught him how to hit every spot on that X, if anything, he could throw strikes. But I tell you one thing: try to round third base and beat him home, and he was a relay man at second base. He would throw your behind out so quick at home plate. Because we had worked on certain things, because certain skills, just because you have a skill and you invest in that skill in this area doesn't mean that it's only going to manifest in this area. He learned a lot of life skills in baseball, but real estate is where he's being successful at. Does that make sense? And like Al just said, if the child isn't passionate about it, then what is the use of trying to force them, because you're going to end up affecting your future relationship by forcing them to do something that they didn't want to do in the first place. So it asks the question again, was Joe Jackson successful because he pushed his children into global success? He pushed them into global success, but he also made them, I ain't gonna say crazy, but they were strange. They were a little weird. They were probably a little touched. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't have to pull the belt out on my children. My tone of voice was pretty strong, so I had a little depth in my voice. So if the voice was if there was depth in my voice, or I could raise my eyebrows right, they usually got right. I ain't really have too many problems with that. So I didn't have to beat them like that. And I didn't have to make them. I think one time Trey told me he didn't want to go to a baseball game. It was a Friday night and it was a game he wanted to go to. He wanted to go to a high school football game, but he had a baseball game. I'm tired of baseball. I said, you going to get your butt to that? But that was about the only time that I had that type of moment with them. Anybody else have you ever tried to push your children to do something that they didn't want to do? And and how did you respond? I wish Dennis was still here. How did you respond when they told you that they no longer wanted to do what you had made such an investment in? Because like Al just said, it really wasn't about them. You were trying to live vicariously through them. I remember one parent in baseball. I never will forget this on our baseball team. This parent, his son was a pitcher. And so the parent, check this out. Y'all check this out for real. The parent didn't like the way the coach would call the pitches. So he sat behind home plate and had his son purposely disregard every pitch that the coach called, and he called the whole game from the stands. What kind of lesson were you teaching on that? You're teaching your child to blatantly disregard the coach, and you call a totally different game because you don't like the way the game is going. What are you teaching your child? And here's the question. If your child would have disobeyed you and decided to do what the coach said, what would your response have been to the child? I don't know. Maybe it's some Joe Jacksons in us. Well, not me, because my children are grown, so I don't have that. But I don't know. I don't think I would have. I know I wouldn't have done anything like that. Now, I would protect my child at all costs. You know, if I felt like you were mistreating him, then you're gonna get it wherever it was. Now, it might not be loud from the field, but it will be one-on-one after the game is over with or after practice is over with. I remember one time a coach said something about Trey couldn't hit. Now, I paid $70 a week for Trey to get batting lessons from Dwight Smith, you know, so I know good and well Trey could hit, but Trey wasn't getting many opportunities. It was one weekend he got 6 at bats. He went 2 for 6. They brought another kid in that was trying out. That same kid went 4 for 16. So I come to practice and Trey, and they say Trey Kirkland, A+ defender, but he can't hit. But all that's in my head is 2 for 6 versus 4 for 16. Coach don't know me because I hadn't been in practice. I've been working. So after practice over with, I say, Coach, can I holler at you right quick? He said, yeah. And I ain't gonna go hard at him because I don't want to mess up my children's opportunities. They were their opportunities, not mine. But I do have to make sure that we have clarity, you know, and even the Bible says, and all that get understanding. So I'm gonna need some understanding. You said my son can't hit. So I walked up to the coach and I said, Coach, question, can I give you a math problem? He said, sure. I said, one kid goes 2 for 16, one goes 4 for 16. One goes 2 for 6, one goes 4 for 16. Who had a better weekend? He said, huh? I said, one kid goes 2 for 6. Another kid goes 4 for 16. Who had a worse weekend? Or who had a better weekend? Well, the one that went 2 for 6. Well, that's what Trey did. Other kid goes 4 for 16, but you just said my son can't hit. Well, no. Do you know Dwight Smith is Trey's hitting coach? No, I didn't know that. Then the other coach, no, Trey Kirkland has probably one of the best hitting games on the team. He has an offensive mindset. Well, why you didn't tell him why he was over there talking about how my son can't hit? Because now I'm thinking he's not getting opportunities because y'all think he can't hit. What's the problem? So that's what I would do. I stand up in that regard. But as far as being hard on him, I wouldn't let you talk to him because I know what I invested in him, right? If he had a bad game, I just look at it as a bad game. So I didn't need you trying to, if you wasn't his coach, I didn't need you correcting him after the game was over with. So if I was Joe Jackson, I was Joe Jackson in that regard. I wasn't super hard on him because he had enough being hard on him. You said that parent probably had a little Joe Jackson in him. Yeah, I'm sure they did. But I don't know it. But can we say unequivocally and without a shadow of a doubt, because Mike became a billionaire, not a millionaire, but a billionaire, and the interest off of his money would take care of his estate forever, right? His sister Janet, just super successful, and even when he married another billionaire. I mean, so they have symptoms of success all throughout their bloodline. They look super successful, but when you look at the other factors that are involved, were they really that successful? What's up, Dr. Bush? What were they? Can we say that Joe Jackson had a successful parenting style based on the symptoms of success? Because you know what? You can have certain symptoms of success, but you might need pills to go to bed at night. And I believe when Michael made his transition, all Michael was trying to do was get some sleep. And it was so hard for him to sleep. He had to have a doctor come and administer medicine to him because he didn't have enough peace in his personal life to even help him go to bed at night. But some of y'all say he was successful. I'm trying to figure this out. Help me out. Was Joe Jackson successful? And this is open mic night. If y'all tired of talking about this, I'm tired of it too. We can talk about something else. I'm not supposed to be doing all the talking anyway. Y'all are supposed to be doing the talking. I'm pouring me some water. I'm pouring some water in my thermos. Okay, Viola, what'd you say? Viola said, as far as money goes, he did, but look at the cost of what it cost his family. Yeah. And you know what? Some costs are more expensive than they're worth, right? You know, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because something is expensive doesn't mean, boy, you better say that. You bet. I got to give you a preaching. I got to give Bush. When he say something like that, I got to give him a good old preaching chord. Hold on.
Oh, Lord.
Not that one. That ain't the one I want. Here it is. All money ain't good money. Some things cost you more than you want to pay. That's what Bishop Robinson used to say. He said it costs you more than you want to pay. It'll keep you longer than you want to stay. All money ain't good money, especially when it costs you your sanity, especially when it costs you your peace, when it costs you relationship, it costs you interpersonal relationship, it costs you social skills, it costs you so much. Is it really worth it? Because I know one thing, my grandmama did never have a whole lot of money. Never, ever had a whole lot of money. But she had a refrigerator in the house, and she had a refrigerator on the back porch. She had a deep freezer in the house and a deep freezer on the back porch. And never was it a time that they weren't all full and didn't have to worry about nobody running around the house, going on the back porch, and stealing food out the refrigerator. I mean, and she went to bed. You know what? And the good part, we look here, when the news went off, when Johnny Carson went off, when the flag came on and they started singing the national anthem or the Star Spangled Banner, we went to bed and we didn't wake up until the next morning because we had a certain level of peace. Money can't buy peace. So the question is, was Joe Jackson successful? I don't know. It determines on it depends on what you call success. Because, see, some people look at the symptoms of success, but then you have a whole nother crowd that don't look at the symptoms of success, Viola. They look at the substance of success. And the substance of success is what success produces in the right way, right? The successful, when your children go to school and you don't have to worry about police showing up at the house, or they go off and get degrees and they end up living their lives and don't have to worry about calling you every time something goes wrong. That's the substance for success. But I know folk that buy their children BMWs when they're 16, 17, but by the time they're 19, they done wrapped it around the tree. Okay, shut up, James. There's a distinct difference between the symptoms and the substance. And I think the problem is that too many of us look at the symptoms of success. Because you know why I say something like that? Because look what we've been talking about for all weekend long. Right now, the internet is arguing now about two people that they don't even know, choosing sides in relationships that they're not in, defending people who don't even know their name. And the question is simple: why do we care so much? That's a good question. Okay, Janice, you want to come on the show and tell us? The link is there in the chat, but she asked a really good question. Janice said, "How does an individual?" And Randy, Viola, Dennis, Al, whoever's there, answer this question if you would. How does an individual define success? What does success look like to different people? And I was just giving my example that there's a difference between the symptoms of success and the substance of success. Symptoms of success is the cars, the cash, and the clothes. But the substance of success is peace. Peace of mind, being able to go to bed at night. Yeah. If money, Randy said, if it was all that was cracked up to be, number of suicides wouldn't be so high. Because people, let me tell you something. There's a difference between success, or the symptoms of success, and the substance of success. But everybody wants the symptoms. We want the cars. We want the cash. We want the clothes. We want the name brands. We want all this. We want what other people got. We sitting here idolizing, I'm going to say it, Meg the Stallion, Megan, whatever. Is it Megan or Meg? I don't know. Y'all know I don't keep up. And Clay Thompson. And the internet is in an uproar arguing. I mean, I just saw it on the news a minute ago. It ain't all over my algorithm, because I saw some lady today. She said, she talked about how men are dogging her, saying she deserved to get cheated on. I'm going to be honest. I have not seen that one time on my timeline. I'm being honest. I have not seen one man. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. But my problem comes, Randy, when she sees that on her timeline, and now her language has twisted, and she's saying that all men are saying that Megan deserved to be cheated on. I ain't say that. I haven't even thought that. I'm not invested in their relationship. And I say I don't care, but I mean, from the standpoint, I don't care enough where it affects me, where I'm going to get in an argument with a stranger or even anybody that I know about a relationship between two people, watch this, who ain't even married. That's goal. That's relationship goals. To don't get married, just cohabitate, have children, do whatever you want to do, buy property. You do all the things married people do, but don't get married. But those are the goals. Shut up, James. You're talking too much. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. Let me see. People are comparing to their, okay. People are comparing their lives to what they see on social media. That's my problem, Janice. We have so many people who live vicariously through people that with whom they can't even identify. Clay Thompson is worth $140 million, something like that. Megan or Meg the Stallion, whatever she is, good knees, whatever, savage, bougie, classic, ratchet, I don't know, whatever it is, she's worth $40 million. I can't relate. But I can tell you one thing, if I am worth $140 million, I ain't buying a house with you. I might buy you one because I can. But we're going to be married. Nah, I ain't doing it. No. But the whole internet is in an uproar. People are divided. Women choosing sides. Men choosing sides. In the barbershop today, we talked about it. They calling her out of her name. But all men? Because I ain't gonna lie, I saw some women that said the same thing I said. So all women obviously don't feel the same way. And that's okay, because we're human beings. And what we have is not a gender issue. It's not a male issue. It's not a female issue. It's a human issue, because humans cheat. And I'm gonna ask you something, Janice, because Janice, I know you, and we know each other. Janice, right here, come here right quick. Me and you, we're about the same age, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? So I'm gonna ask you a real question, because I always hear the talk. Men cheat. All men cheat. Janice, you still there? Just tell me you still there. Please show me you still there, because I gotta ask you this question. I really want to know, because it's too much like common sense for me. So I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna ask a question. And if this is not common sense, then it's just sense ain't common. I'm cool with that. But I gotta ask. In fact, it ain't only for Janice. It's not only for Janice. It's for everybody. Oh, Janice, you still there? Okay, good. There it is. Janice, when men cheat, who they cheat with? And I'm not talking about any alphabets. Nothing like that. I'm talking about in heterosexual relationships. When men cheat, who do they cheat with? I'll wait. It takes two to cheat. Nobody's forcing nobody to cheat. But it don't seem like both parties are held accountable in the same fashion, because all men cheat. So, but they cheat with women. So if all men cheat and they cheating with women, then my question is, do all women cheat? There you go. Men that cheat with women that cheat. I like that. That's a good one, Randy. Men that cheat with women that cheat, because cheaters cheat with cheaters. But we would rather say, because Clayton messed up now, all men cheat. People cheat. And until we stop with the negative narratives that keep us divided, that's it. Until we stop with the negative narratives, and here it is, I'm going to take it a step farther. The negative narratives that are designed to keep us divided, we're going to always we're going to always underachieve. We'll never get to the place, point, and posture that we're supposed to be as a people. And guess what? Marriage won't be relevant again, because we've really discounted marriage to the point now where they just say it's just a piece of paper, just a contractual agreement. Anything that represents marriage in the Black community, and we put it out front, they try their best to demonize it. I'm so glad that Camille and Denzel kept their relationship as private as possible, because even though they're in public, they don't talk too much. But boy, they got Bill and Claire. They got Bill and on Family Matters. I mean, they always find something negative to really demonize and discount anything that promotes the Black family in a positive way. I mean, every Black person on the news, I mean, that used to be on TV shows growing up, they had to depict the man as a narcissist. For instance, George Jefferson. James Evans, anybody, just, angry, all these types of things. We got to be careful with these types of things, these negative narratives. And so now we have people that don't want to get married anymore. We have people now who have chosen to never get married. We're turning to each other. The Bible said we would become lovers of ourselves. Men would go after women, and men would go after men, and women go after women. We're living in some really, really interesting times. We're living in some really interesting times. We're living in a time now where right is called wrong and wrong is called right. We live in a time now where we're made to believe that what we're seeing right in front of us, and I can see it with my eyes, but I'm seeing optical illusions, because you're telling me that what I see is not there. We live in some very, very interesting times, and we have to be careful. Because what you expose your children to now, they become the effects of that exposure. So The only way you can be successful is to limit that exposure. You have to control the inputs and the outputs as it relates to those children, because what's going to happen later? What you put in them now is going to show up later on. It's the simple principle of sowing and reaping. What you sow, you're going to reap. It's going to come back. And it might come back 100-fold depending on how much you put into it. Joe Jackson got his just reward. He got some type of gratification, no doubt. But that gratification, when you really look at it in the grand scheme of things, did it really produce what he really wanted it to produce? Did it really produce a generational legacy, right? Because what one thing that outweighs the money, right, and the legacy is the lineage, right? It's the name, right? I mean, it's that name that's going to show up 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100 years later. It's that name, right? It's that name. My dad had me. Well, he didn't have me. He produced me. He supplied the seed that helped produce me. I supplied the seed that helped produce my son. If my son has children, he chooses to keep that name going forward. Even if he doesn't, he still has my last name. And it's going to continue to perpetuate that. And those are the investments. If we're too busy looking at now when it comes to our children, and we're not looking at next, we're not looking at the times that we use abusive language and what that abusive language is going to produce. Because later on, because we don't realize that abusive language, watch this, that abusive language ends up becoming an attachment style. And that attachment style has a way of following us into adulthood. And with that, and that attachment style is the conduit, right? It's the connection between the way we grew up and the way we are now. And somewhere on that attachment style, there are triggers, a little bit small triggers. And every now and then, even though I'm a grown man, because I haven't dealt with that attachment style, I haven't dealt with that trauma, when I hear certain things, certain sounds and certain tones of voice and certain words start to remind me of the trauma that I experienced in my childhood. People do that, but we don't think about that when we're having those arguments and we're yelling at those children, not thinking about that those words are going to grow up later. I never will forget when I told that young lady, you're right. You can do it to him now, but he's going to take it out on everybody that looks like you when he gets older. And the question is, how valuable is the relationship? Because if the relationship is valuable enough, you might want to take a pause. And you might want to reevaluate, because when that child gets older and he's not showing up for birthdays, or you're not getting Mother's Day cards and all these types of things because he remembers what you did to him. I know the Bible says train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he's old, he won't depart from it. But hear this right here. It also says, provoke not your children to wrath. I know my children got older. And when they got older, they had questions. And they brought those questions to me, especially related to the divorce. And I never will forget one day my baby, and she's the most passionate one out of all of them. But she came, she said, yeah, you apologized to mom, but you didn't apologize to us. I said, whoa. I didn't even know I owed you one. I apologized to your mama. I wrote a whole book, apologized to the world, but I was right. Because sometimes she was right. I mean, because you know what? Sometimes we think our children are have so much elasticity. That's a good word. And we think that they're sponges, and we think they can absorb everything we can do that we throw to them. Right? We think that they can bend and they won't break. But the things that we do to them end up showing up in their in their adulthood, but things that we did in adolescence. And that's why we have to be super, super careful. I never will forget that brother. There was a white brother. And I've told this story before. But I introduced him to Mackenzie when Mackenzie was 3 years old. And when he walked out to her to introduce himself, he got down on one knee, Janice. Now, this man made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Got down on one knee, extended his hand, and said, hi, Mackenzie. My name is Kent. He didn't rub the top of her head and say, hey, little buddy. He didn't try to give her a fist bump. He didn't say, my name is Mr. This. He got down on her level, looked at her in her eyes, called her by her name, because people love to hear their name. When you call somebody by the, if you think you just don't realize how much credibility you give somebody when you thought enough of them to remember their name. And then not only do when I preach them, those of y'all hear me preach, and when I'm in the crowd, I'm calling names all the way because I want to keep people engaged, and people love to hear their names, right? So, but when he sat down and he said, "Hey, hi, Mackenzie, my name is Kent," you know what she did? She smiled and she looked at him. But we don't invest in our children like that because we're so hierarchical. I'm up here, you're down here. I got mine, you got to get yours. We don't know how to disciple. Old folk used to take us and put us beside them outside on the car on the ramp and put us on the ground and show us where the oil plug was. And then say, okay, take the oil plug, put an oil pan under, because when you unscrew the oil plug, oil's going to come out and it's going to go in the oil pan. And you need to put some cardboard under the oil pan in case the oil pan overflows, because you don't want the oil to get all over the driveway. I mean, we would get these lessons and they explained them to us. But at a certain point, I don't know how it happened, but I don't know if it was a cause of capitalism or, because somebody got to win because of capitalize, somebody has to capitalize for capitalism to work. So I don't know if we become so infected by it that we say, now you got to get yours, I got to get mine by any means necessary. I don't know, but somewhere along the way we stopped. Somewhere along the way we stopped discipling and stopped explaining and let the internet teach them how to figure it out. Let ChatGPT tell them how to figure it out. Homework got too hard, so we stopped trying to figure it out. You know what? When homework got hard for me or for my children, you know what I did? I got on this app called Wiser. That's a tutoring app, and I found the least expensive tutor I could that met the qualifications. And I set up a meeting because what I can see, that's what I was talking about. Let your children choose and then be creative enough to cultivate the choice. Sometimes that means doing research. I know a homegirl of mine, her child had autism, and she did all the research in the world to find out what she could do to make sure her child was comfortable at school and didn't miss any opportunities, and make sure he got all money that was available to him and whatever. Because sometimes you have to be creative enough to cultivate. Does that make sense? It's supposed to be open mic night, but I'm the only one talking. Okay. Let me see what my friend Janice said. What's up, Kim? I don't feel no waste time. I'm trying to see what Janice said. Come too far where I started from. We have no empathy, no social connection. It's a disconnect with society. But the thing, how did we get here, Janice? How did we get here? Because Black people are Eastern culture. That ain't where we came from. We were communal by nature. That's why we had family reunions. And it was imperative at a certain time that we went to the family reunion because we were communal by nature. Big Mama and them always had something to say and we listened. Pawpaw had something to say and we listened. We were communal by nature, but as Eastern culture moved from the East to the West, then we became more individualistic in our thinking, because now the American dream says, if I got a house, 2.5, if I get a house, it used to be a house, a husband, 2.5 kids, and a picket fence, I was successful. Now you don't need the husband. You just need an apartment. And you have as many kids as you have, whatever. I don't know. But if you ain't bothering nobody, I guess that makes you successful. I don't know how that works. I don't know. But something changed. And when you say it's technology, it's guided collective messages, because we did not control our children's eye gates. We did not control our children's ear gates. And we let Hollywood start putting all these symbols and these ideas in our children's minds. And now look at the effects. We arguing over somebody we don't even know. And literally, and so I put a post up yesterday. I said, if I'm gonna listen to somebody, I'm gonna listen to grandmama and them. At least they had 50 plus years. Well, how we know grandmama was happy? Well, I found out the only reason grandmama stayed is because she didn't have no other options. Okay. We can always find something. Because at a certain point, I remember some of y'all calling grandmama weak, but that took a different kind of strength to hold on. And just because your grandmama or some grandmamas might have gone through that, I don't mean all of them went through that. We have no empirical data to say that. All this is speculation. But we push those negative narratives, and we do it on Facebook. We do it on social media, and people run with those thoughts. Those are divisive. Viola, I'm about to get back to bonding of the sexes. I got to get back to bonding of the sexes because we're missing it. We are missing it, and it's really a shame. It's really a shame. It's really a shame that we take the bait. We literally take the bait every time. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired of it. Y'all get on my nerves. I'm sorry. I don't want to say y'all specifically, but y'all know what I mean. I mean, literally get on my nerves. I'm trying to open this file. Hold on. I want to show Viola something because Viola is my homegirl. She's been rocking with me a long time. And Viola came to my last event that I did in Arkansas called what was it called, Viola? Oh, Bonding of the Sexes. I'm gonna read your comments in a minute. Give me 1 second. But let me show Viola this new flyer. Hold on. Share screen. I've been through the storm and the rain. Hold on. No, that ain't what I want. Hold on. All right, I think I can open it. We'll see. Hold on. Let me see if I open it up. I gotta make it bigger. That ain't working. Valo, can you see that? But anyway, let me stop sharing. I'll share it on my page. But anyway, I'm tired of the battle of the sexes. We had a movement that we were starting a couple of years ago called the bonding of the sexes. We did a couple of events in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, one of those conversations ended in an argument or a disagreement. And sometimes it's going to require a little friction before we become fruitful. And I could have probably handled that situation a little different, but I've been through therapy since then. So I'm sure if I'm presented with that same issue again, then I'll handle it a whole lot different. But I wouldn't. Yeah, we're gonna leave it like that. Janet said we have devices at the dinner table, in the car, at the events and gatherings. We're so busy posting, we miss the moment. We rather record. Oh, what's up, Jackie? Yes, indeed it did. Yeah, it ended a little, but I could have handled it a little bit different. But I just wanted her to answer the question. And she wanted to plant that negative seed, and and that's my thing. And what I've learned, big sis Jackie, is we need to get Viola on the team. But what I've learned um, is that people gonna say what they're gonna say, and I just let them say it and keep it moving. But we had a really, really good event. Jackie's on here now, and Jackie is one of the ones who really spearheaded the movement. Me and Jackie met here on Facebook, me doing my podcast. And when I told her I wanted to come to Little Rock and do an event, she hit me in my inbox. She said, "Hey, little brother, can I supply the food?" Yeah. And do you realize she found me a caterer? I bought all the food. I bought all the we had alcohol for the saints. We did. It was, but we didn't force people to drink. But we had alcohol, and we had an event. We had a venue, and we had a really good conversation. The first one was really, really good. Second one was really, really classy. We had some holes, but it was good. It was good. And we're gonna do more. We're gonna do more. Jackie said we're gonna start going. She said we're gonna do them in Arkansas. We're gonna do them in Atlanta, and we're gonna move to North Carolina. So I said, hey, if y'all handle it, I'll pull up. I ain't got no problem pulling up. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull up, and we're gonna make it do what it does. So bonding of the sexes, it's gonna come back. So listen, we're not arguing on this show. And if I put up a post, like when I put up the post about Megan Thee Stallion and Clay. If you notice something, I didn't choose sides. I didn't choose Megan. I didn't demonize Clay. I didn't affirm Clay. I didn't do none of that because it ain't none of my business. I don't care. What they eat don't make me excrete at all. I don't care. I care about Janice. I care about Jackie. I care about Vi. I care about people who are in my concentric circle. People that I support. And Janice has a show every Tuesday night. Live it out on Facebook and YouTube. And she talks about mental health and things of that nature. Really good show. Really good show. She had me on a couple of weeks ago talk about my divorce and how it affected my health mentally. That she asked that question because she's not only because she's concerned about me, but she knows that somebody else has gone through the same thing. And she also knows that some women, you know what, some women needed to hear a male perspective on it. Because if they never hear a male perspective on it, if they're only getting one perspective, how can they hear both sides? And if you can't hear both sides, how can you make an accurate assessment of what's really going on? It's skewed. Now, my problem comes if I ask you something, or if you ask me something, and I tell you, I'm telling you, I ain't changing. So you don't have to reinterpret or change. Well, what you meant to say? No. I'm 53. I'll be 54 in July, and I have a pretty decent vocabulary, and I'm pretty articulate. If I tell you, and if I don't know, I'll tell you that too. I have no issue with that. And sometimes when I don't know, you know what I do? I get quiet and I start processing. And I might not get it right now. It might take me later on overnight, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The Holy Spirit might wake me up. Oh, that's what he meant. When I got that phone call that Bishop Robinson, my father in the ministry, passed away, I got quiet. I ain't had nothing to say. My boy was crying. He was talking. I'm quiet. He said, man, I got to catch this phone call. I'll call you back. I said, please don't. Because I didn't need to talk. If you give me a big pill, I need something to drink. I need to swallow it. I need to swallow. And sometimes swallow, I have to be quiet. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't got no problem with that. No problem. And I'm gonna lay it out. But now all right. Oh, my bad. I had hooked the, you can hear me now. I had hooked the mic back up. My bad. It came apart, but I got it back. I'm sorry. My bad. Now y'all can hear me. I like when all them comments go, I can't hear you. I can't hear you 6 or 7 at a time. All right, I got it now. But all I did, I was reading Janice's comments. Megan put out a perception for entertaining, and people can't differentiate real and fantasy. You can be cheated on. Can you hear me now? Y'all can hear me now? Say yes. Somebody please say yes. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, anybody can be cheated on. Anybody can be cheated on. And anybody can be cheated on. So just because it's her, why am I more upset that it's her that got cheated on than it's Janice that got cheated on, or Jackie got cheated on, or Viola got cheated on? Why am I so much more invested, right? Because you got a man who makes $140 million. Do you know how many options $140 million gives a man? And I'm not justifying it. I am not justifying cheating at all. I am not justifying cheating at all. But do you know how many options $140 million gives a man? Now, $40 million don't necessarily give a woman a whole bunch of options, because a woman is going to limit her options if she got $40 million. She ain't going to take dude making hamburgers at Burger King. But the $140 million man, if she fine and she's a fry girl at McDonald's, he'll change the whole world. He'll change the whole world. He'll tell her, hey, how much you make an hour? $15 an hour? That's what, $600 a week? Come on. I got you. And change the whole world. If he got $140 million, he got a whole bunch of options. But if she got $40 million, she ain't finna change his life. Welcome to Popeyes. But he got dreads. He got some tattoos. He got some fair skin. He looked like he might be able to satisfy her pretty good. But he work at Popeyes. And she worth $40 million. I bet she ain't finna tell him, hey, go clock out. I'm about to change the whole world. That don't make sense, do it. Let me shut up. Y'all gonna be mad at me. Y'all gonna be mad at me if I say something like that. What? Okay, she might. What's the likelihood, big sis? Because I'm looking at a bunch of bosses now. I'm even here in Atlanta. If you see somebody who's a boss, when she walk in, first thing she leading with, now I got my master's degree. I heard a girl tell us one time, this help. Oh, I almost said help. This woman didn't even say, I did say it, but this woman didn't say, we got our master's degree. She said, we got our master's degree. We all got masters. We all got it. So if you ain't gonna come correct, don't come over here talking to us. And we were making well over six figures. And I think I might have had a master's at that time. But my homeboy, he didn't have a master's, but he was making about $200,000-$300,000 a year. And I know people that got master's degrees and they ain't making but $60,000-$70,000 a year. Let me shut up. Yeah, I know women cheat. Women cheat for different reasons. Most time I see, no, that ain't true either, though. That ain't always true. And I said that earlier. And you wasn't here when I said it, Jackie. But, we always hear that all men cheat. But all men who cheat, especially heterosexual men, all men who cheat usually cheat with women. I'm talking about heterosexual. What was all their reasons? Now, I know the one who might get, she's fed up and she's got, she's ready to leave and she cheats with her heart, and by the time she cheats, she's ready to leave. But I know some trifling women. Just as trifling as men. That like it just as much as men like it. But they're not held as accountable. Let me shut up. I've been through the storm and the rain. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm going to get in trouble. Yeah, women treat for different reasons. Women see the potential. He can be at Popeyes, but he better have a woman that makes $70,000, but not a woman that's got $70 million in the bank. Yeah, an average woman that is it really ain't middle class as much as it used to be, but middle class salary, but a wealthy woman, no. Stella ain't still trying to get her groove back. That ain't happen. That ain't realistic like it used to be. I wish we could have a poll about it because ain't enough people to find it. But if a $50 million man, if he walks in McDonald's, if he had a hankering for some fries and a shake, and he walks in McDonald's and he sees that fine woman, he'll change her life just from the physical aspect. But a $50 million woman, he better get on my level. 70 million, shoot. I know some $70 million still go to Popeyes. And I ain't gonna say I know some 70 million, but I know some millions who still go to Popeyes. Not 70 million. I don't know nobody got 70 million, I don't think. But I do know some people who got 3 or 4 million, 4 or 5 million, they'll go to Popeyes. They sure will. Look, Janice, one night I was some guys got me to be the designated driver. And he was wealthy, I knew that. But I'm driving the car and I didn't even know what kind of car it was. But we definitely went through a drive-through that night and a few regular clubs that everybody else goes to. But turns out I was driving a Rolls Royce Phantom, and they act just like normal people. You just got a bunch of money. You got some people come out of the straight hood, out of the country, and sign one contract and change their whole life. But you can take them out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of them, right? But those who got it out of the mud, especially a woman, I don't believe she's gonna look and see the dude in the back flipping burgers. Say, hey, you come here. Let me change your whole life. But a man, he might not try to change her whole life, but he might give her $10,000, and let her come spend a week with him and have a whole lot of fun. And $10,000 for somebody who makes $15 an hour, that'll change their life. It would. It would. Listen, this is supposed to be open mic now. Y'all supposed to be talking, but y'all have let me talk for an hour and 21 minutes. Y'all have let me talk for an hour and 21 minutes. We need to have a live. It's a live session now. Oh, you talking about live in person? Okay. I gotta wait on Jackie. Yeah, well, Jackie, write it down so we'll have it in person. But it ain't gonna be real. It ain't gonna be real because we're not gonna have nobody in the show anybody that makes $70 million in the room. We'll have a whole lot of speculation, and then I know some of us gonna tailor make our answers to make sure they fit real good. Make it because we want to have the drop the mic moment. I gotta go to work tomorrow. I start a new job tomorrow. She said, "Where you at? Where you at?" We Jackie is in charge of logistics for the intellectual stew. So when we do outside events, she kind of puts all those things together, and I appreciate her because she live in like 3 states, but she supports her little brother, even though I ain't but about a year younger than her, or maybe a year or 2. But she calls me little brother, and I ride with it. I ride with it. When we get it out the mud, we ain't got time to raise exactly, and I understand that. And those who've made that kind, but a man's totally different. And this is the thing, Janice. It's okay. It's okay for men to be different, but embrace the differences and recognize the differences. And don't expect people. Not you. I'm not pointing at you when I say this, but don't expect people to think like you think. Because that's where the letdown comes when you put this figment of this figment of the imagination of what you thought it should be, but then when it's not that, then it's such a letdown. Now all men are dogs. Let me shut up. I've been through the storm and the rain. I would love if 8 people just said hi right now, all the time. Listen, I don't want nobody to think like me. I told them today on Facebook. I don't want if anybody relationship thinking that we're gonna do 50-50. No, are you expecting 100 0 whatever? I ain't looking for 50-50. I'm looking for 100-100. If you ain't bringing 100, all of it, then don't bring it. I mean, I can do bad by myself. I've gotten used to that. I've gotten used to it, and my standard is pretty high. So I'll wait. You can't get me with that. If you think that's the only thing you think that's gonna get me or keep me, I get bored. My attention span about that long. Supposed to be provided, absolutely. But the relationship definitely supposed to be provided for. Now, it would be ideal that he's the provider. It would be ideal. But more specifically, especially since the 2 became 1, that's what the Bible said, 2 became 1. It's it's better that the relationship be provided for. However, those 2 in that relationship designed to put that formula together to make sure that household is provided for. I think that's me talking. That's just James. That's Kirklandology 101. Now, it's not right. It's not wrong. It might be relevant, but that's where I'm at on that situation. All right. Yeah, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. And don't depend on nobody to take care of you. But when y'all come together, especially if the 2 become 1, see, as long as we always talking about I and me, we'll never understand us and we. As long as we talking about I and me and what I did, but if us and we come together collectively and build together, that's a whole different thing. But when 2 people come pre-built, the first thing they say is, I don't need you. Or start thinking, or they have an exit plan. First time he mess up, I'm out of here. because you're pre-built. So you bring all those experiences, good and bad, negative and positive. You bring all those experiences and you have a trigger that says the first time I recognize this, the first time he makes me say, ouch, I'm going to put up my finger, my gospel finger, and I'm going to walk out the door like this. Yeah, we do it. We do it. But when you build together, as you said a minute ago, Jens, when y'all get it out of the mud together, that's when you get out. That's why grandmama and them could stay together, because they had a little bit more. See, resistance builds resilience. The things you go through and you grow through, those things make you stronger as you get older. And that's why you can put up with more, right? Because resistance, the longer I do this, resistance builds resilience. I become stronger when I lift heavier weight. And see, relationships that have been through 30, 40, 50 years, they lift in heavy weights because they've been through mortgages. They've been through credit card. They've been building credit together. They've raised children together. They've had to put unified fronts on together. That's why they can put up with stuff that you probably wouldn't put up. So that's why it don't matter what you would say. I wouldn't put up with that if I was you. It ain't you. Why am I fussing? Shut up, James. Let me be quiet. I just want to be friends. I just want to be friends. Oh, I want to be friends. All right. I'm sorry. Am I talking too loud to y'all? Am I being mean? Am I being mean? But it's tight, but it's right. Listen, be the best woman you can be. I'm not quite where I'm going to be, but I'm not all that I used to be. So I'm ever evolving. I'm working on becoming the best version of myself. My shirt says I'm on the path to better, right? So that's why Jackie, part of the reason, that's why I'm not choosing a woman in this season of my life, because I might be able to attract something better as I grow. Is it love or loyalty that makes them stay? And I think that answer is answered in different stages of life. I think that and both of them are good reasons to stay. I don't think either one is a bad reason to stay, because loyalty is a form of love. I don't, I don't. We've been duped. We've been duped. We've been duped. We've been duped. We've been tricked. I mean, for real, we've been taught to call bad good and good bad, and we've fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker. We've fallen for it, man. We have fallen for it. People don't want to get married no more. People don't, and every statistic you see shows that children that are in two-parent homes perform better. Every statistic you see that black fathers are good fathers. It's erroneous to say that they're not. Every statistic you see points to the opposite. But we still continue to promote negative narratives, because somewhere along the way, the black man, my daddy told me, and I know women say that they're on the verge of becoming extinct, and I get it. Y'all might be. Y'all say y'all are the most hated in society. I understand. But I know what my daddy told me at 14. My daddy told me the black male was on the verge of becoming extinct. And when you look at it from 1990 to 2020, it was well over 1 million black men that were incarcerated. Black men who were the target of privatized prisons, right? They housed them. They put them in warehouses. They took uncles, fathers, brothers, nephews, grandfathers. They took all these people out of society, and they told the society to cope. It reminded me of 1 Samuel 30, when David and the men came back to Ziklag, and the city was burned, and all the women and children were taken away. Men were going into a different place, and when they came back, women weren't where they used to be. And so if you are incarcerated for 20 years because a crack rock was a mandatory 10, if you had to go and you gone for a long appointed time or a certain amount of time, when you come back, trust me, people aren't where they used to be. And if you haven't evolved with them, because they do evolve, and when they evolve, their mindsets, oh God, you're talking good, James, their mindsets evolve as well. And sometimes they outgrow you. And outgrowing someone can produce tension. What she say? I hear the young people say, "Be loyal to me, don't love me." Oh yeah, because they don't know what love is. They're so sexual in nature that I mean, it was a time when we saved our bodies, and we did it for people that we love. Now, man, please, they some of I know I personally know of some women who can have sex with two, three, four dudes in one day. Not me, because that's gross. But I've seen it, heard of it. Men same way, because love don't mean what it used to mean. We used to say we making love. We ain't making love no more. It's a stress reliever. It's an agreement. It's an exchange. It's a contract. It's a contractual agreement. I give you this, you give me that, and I'm not gonna give you this unless you give me that. I mean, that's what we are. We're in a different society now. What say? They say love hurts, so they prefer loyalty. They just out here giving it out. For real, for real. And if they're not giving it out, then they charging for it. And now it's become a commodity. It's a medium of exchange for good and a service. But that's the old, and some of them are taught that. Especially when you say some of the, like you said, Janice earlier, that people judge her based on her songs, and but that's some people's reality because they live vicariously through music, and music sends messages. It sure enough do. Y'all, I had fun tonight. It has been open mic night, but we're still not where I want to be. I want you to feel comfortable coming on stage and talking to me. I want you to call in, and I want you to get on video with me. We're gonna have good conversations. Some of y'all that talk to me on the phone, we can have these conversations right here, because we have good conversations on the phone. For real. For real, for real. Because I'm about to go. I gotta roll. I gotta go. Music definitely sends message. It does. Classy, bougie, ratchet. What you bougie? I saw two. Well, I ain't gonna tell on myself. I almost told on myself. I ain't gonna tell. Sometimes I tell too much, but I ain't gonna tell on myself. But they was fine though, and they didn't even have a little $3 that they were trying to buy. What they were trying to buy with. I mean, bad, fine, but they didn't even have $3 whole. But probably be in the club talking about what they ain't gonna put up with and all that kind of stuff. I was in a liquor store getting a lottery ticket. That's what I say that. No, I was getting a Coke, a water, or something. But anyway, they was trying to buy some little shot bottles, like $1.50 a piece. They didn't even have the $3 to get the doggone bottles. I was like, wow. And they were beautiful. I mean, gorgeous. 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 But probably have such high standing. They might have just been a bad day. They might just not get paid, or they might not have had. No, they had the phone, because y'all young folk, y'all pay with the phone now. Y'all pay with the phone. Okay, yeah, but we're gonna start. I want people to start hopping on, because this is open mic night. My vision is eventually we'll have hundreds of people in the chat, and we'll have people waiting to jump on, and they'll want to share whatever it is they're sharing. If y'all have any ways that y'all think we should be able to that might be able to help promote the show better, hey, I'm open for it. I'm open. Listen, we're trying to grow this platform. If you go to my page today, I put a flyer out. We're looking for sponsors. Those of you all who want to sponsor on a patron level, with $25 a month, and I'll give you all a shout out every show, where I'll let your name go across the ticker across the bottom. But that's for $25 a month. If you're interested in doing something like that to help promote the show and help us get ads and get more lighting and do more things, you can do that. If you have a business, we got a couple of business plans that you can look at doing as well, where we can set up where you can run your commercials and all those types of things. I don't have all that information on me right now, but you can go to my page and you can see the different sponsorship level packages. And if you're interested in that, please, ma'am, please, sir, reach out to me. Also, if you're interested in life insurance and you live in Georgia, Arkansas, or Ohio right now, if you're somewhere else and you're interested in life insurance, reach out to me, and I probably will get a license in that state. and because I do want to be able to serve you. All right, it's been fun tonight. It really is. Janice, Jackie, Kim, Viola, Dennis, all y'all. I appreciate y'all. Al Crater, I appreciate y'all for jumping on tonight. And I had some notes, but I really didn't get to them. I don't want to use notes whenever I do open mic nights. I don't. Now, if you all want to make a suggestion for a show topic, or if you want to be a guest on the show or something like that, go to my page. It's called podcast.theintellectualstew.com, podcast.theintellectualstew.com, and you can make your request now there, and I'll let you know if we're interested, if you have a book or something you're trying to promote. Now, if our visions don't align, that's okay. That's okay. Everybody's not a good fit. All right. Now, and I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were talking about something that, like I said, about that they saw on their algorithm, you know, and it was talking about how all men were doing this and all men were doing that and all this stuff. And it taught me something in that moment. And I'm closing. I'm cutting across the field, closing. Your algorithm is a direct correlation of how you are aligned. We typically see on our algorithms what we associate ourselves with. So if we see a bunch of fights on our algorithm, on our timeline, we've been watching a lot of fight videos. If you see a lot of negative stuff about relationships on, that's the kind of stuff you've been clicking on. And so when your algorithm only produces what you've acknowledged and what you've aligned yourself to. So if you want to reset your algorithm, then you need to change what you're clicking on. Now, my algorithm, all I see is AI stuff. That's all I see. That's all I see, because I'm building websites. I'm building digital twins. I'm on ChatGPT. I'm on Claude. I'm doing these things all day. So all my algorithm shows me are AI things and different AI tools. If you're seeing a whole bunch of stuff about Meg and Clay and cheating and men saying this and that, that's a direct reflection of who you are, what you acknowledge, and what you accept in your personal life. If you start changing what you acknowledge, you change what you accept, then you'll change your algorithm. And guess what? That applies in our personal lives as well. That's why whenever I close, I always say this: the world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night. And
Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland.
powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Have you ever found yourself
Are you dating for that person?
informative and inspirational.
Every bit of it. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do.
Intellectual stew.
Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager.
Intellectual